Hey, it's Bonfire Man, episode 14. Let's go. Okay, here's how Bonfire Man works. I'm locked to specific chunks in the game. I have to interact with everything in my unlocked chunks exactly once. So that means every tree needs to be chopped, every enemy needs to die, every resource needs to be consumed. When I interact with something, it is exhausted. When something is exhausted, I'm not allowed to interact with it again. I'm allowed to randomly unlock a new chunk whenever all of the entities in my current chunks have been exhausted. When I enter a new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, as in the Souls games. Resting at a bonfire unexhausts all of the content in previous chunks that I've already been to. Now I have to exhaust all entities in both the new and old chunks to continue to progress. My objective is to unlock every chunk in RuneScape eventually. All minor rules and exceptions can be found in a Google Doc that I'll link in the description of this video. Let's go ahead and get to the playthrough. Okay, so I've actually had a long break from RuneScape for about a week and a half to get my house completely cleaned up. So it's been a while since I played, and I remember leaving off on this very exciting but also somewhat intimidating new chunk roll, the Varrock Palace plus Varrock Sewers. I think this is going to end up being the Lumbridge Swamp West, but even more intense because there's a lot of regular enemies down there. I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time PVMing. This is probably the single biggest increase in time to complete per cycle since Lumbridge Swamp West. So let me go ahead and head over to the chunk boundary and we will light the bonfire. Okay, we're here, and this is pretty exciting because this actually looks like a fog wall boundary in the Souls games. Let's go ahead and cross here, crossing the fog wall. Okay, and let's go ahead and light a bonfire here. Excellent. And we're going to spin. Now, somebody left a comment. Let me give them credit 1 second. Big thanks to My Butt for pointing out that technically the Lumbridge teleport animation has you sit partway through the animation. You could argue that that's your sitting at the bonfire thing as long as you don't let the teleport complete. So I might start doing that. I mean, My Butt pointed that out 8 episodes ago, something like that, but I'm so far ahead in the recordings. That's why I didn't catch it, and you continue to see spinning. So yeah, I kind of like that, though. You gotta wait for the circle to be drawn, but then rested. Beautiful. Okay. So there's a lot to do in this chunk. Lots of PVM in this chunk, and it's going to be good for combat stats and the like. When we finally get the ability to pickpocket guards, it's going to be amazing for thieving XP. But I kind of need to do a tour and wrap my head around what all there is to do here. I guess to just quickly give you a chunk task summary, we have 4 Black Knights, a Grizzly Bear, 27 guards, which are all level 21, 4 extra imps, a Monk of Zamorak, a Warrior Woman. We can technically steal from the guards a long time from now. We can steal from the Warrior Woman soon. Got some trees to chop. Unfortunately, high number of trees, actually. There's a tree patch that we can get some raking XP from, and I can buy additional compost and plant cures every day, and some item spawns. And then in the Varrock Sewers, there's 9 deadly spiders, 3 ghosts, 6 giant rats, 10 moss giants, which I think have a pretty interesting drop table for us. Not least of which seeds. Scorpions, skeletons, and zombies, and a handful of dead trees to chop and some item spawns to pick up. So this is going to take a while. I might be here for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and start up the timer. I guess I'm going to start with PVM stuff. Unfortunately, today's a Tuesday, and I don't have a ton of time to play, so there's going to be a patch tomorrow that's going to wipe out all of my tagged entities. So I'm going to try to take care of as much PVM as I can in areas where I know that they're not going to wander over the chunk boundary. I'm going to try to keep what I'm pretending is the Albinoric helmet equipped whenever headgear doesn't really matter. It maybe matters a little bit, but I kind of like the fashion of running around with this ridiculous frog helmet. I guess my loot tracker's going to get all screwed up. I reset it at the start of this cycle, so back to guard murder. Probably going to be like dozens of cycles until I'm a high enough thieving level to be able to pickpocket these guys, but this is going to be an embarrassment of thieving XP. I'm so excited. It's 27 guards. That's actually almost a full inventory of coin pouches. It's actually terrible. Like, realistically, if you're grinding thieving, you're sitting at the Arduin night and getting many, many full inventories worth of coin pouches, but, you know, take what we get. Right, now that I have access to King Rolled, I can technically finish Shield of Arov, so I'm going to do that before this episode's over. Should add that to the task list. We also rolled the chunk west of here, which is part of what makes that possible. Also, having King Rolled means that theoretically, eventually, we can do Priest in Peril, which would be really nice to have Mauritania unlocked, but we got a lot of chunks to roll before that becomes possible. Well, this is a minor improvement. We technically have access to Reldo now. Previously, I was thinking I would just attempt every possible beginner clue step where a hot and cold clue could be, but now we can actually get the device that lets us check that, so that's quite nice. All right, are you ready for more justifications for the existence of Bonfire Man mode? Did you know that there were guards up here, like training, that you could fight? Why would anyone fight these guys? I gotta find out how to get over there. I don't think I've ever actually been up here to look at these trainees. There's actually a ton of guards on this roof. I think the lion's share of the 27 guards in the chunk are up here. I had no idea. All right, these guys are actually kicking my ass. I'm gonna head downstairs and get some food from the bank. May as well heal here, since it's such a long walk back from Lumbridge. You know, I didn't think about this. Am I allowed to rake all these patches repeatedly? Or am I only allowed to rake them during Garden of Tranquility? Go grab a rake and give it a try. Alright, looks like I'm not allowed to rake the patch early. Alright, so I'm missing 3 guards, and now I have to play the game of where are the other 3 guards? Are they actually in this chunk? Do they wander out of this chunk? I cannot find these missing guards for the life of me. I'm going to try to look at the wiki spawn list. Hold on. Okay, I checked the wiki, and my current count matches the wiki. It disagrees with the chunk picker, though, so I think it's actually 24 guards in Varrock Castle on the bottom, middle, and top floor, and the 2 extra guards in the little guardhouse at the exit from Varrock. So that took a long time for me to figure out, but I think we've got that good. I'll submit that as a report to the chunk picker site. And mark guards complete. I'm going to go ahead and buy my POH here. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it until I have a high enough level to teleport to house. But even after I can teleport to house, I'm going to need planks, which I can't get yet. We'll buy it, though. I'm going to go ahead and pick up that saw as well. So I'm probably going to want to buy more runes this cycle to fund magic training. I'm going to sit here at the bank really quick and make unstrung oak longbows. We're going to make 96 of them and 96 regular unstrung longbows and then sell them to the general store. 37 fletching. It's going to take me a while to hit 40, but that's a really exciting level because we can get a decent amount of money from willow longbows. And we'll just do this every session. I'll save all of my oak logs from now on. All right, I finished selling everything. Got about 8,000 gold. I'm going to buy a house. 1,000 coins. Yes, please. And the theory here is that I will go there once I'm able to use a house portal, and then I can't leave the house because it would be in an illegal chunk. So to get back out, I would have to be able to cast Lumbridge Helm Teleport. So I'd only be able to do stuff in my house once every 30 minutes. I'm going to grab this saw, though, and then we're going to keep exploring the chunk. It actually looks like a couple counts on the chunk picker are incorrect here. They might be including... There's a Black Knight that spawns over there. It says there should be 4 Black Knights, but the wiki says there's only 2. Wondering why there's so many errors for this particular chunk. I'll go ahead and just progress, assuming that my current counts are right. So those Black Knights are down. I don't know that I can actually get 4 imps here. 4 imps does seem right based on the wiki, so they might just be teleporting around, and I'll try to keep an eye out for them. Find where this Monk of Zamorak is. Oh my god, I had no idea there was a dude back here. I think I've almost always walked in here in such a way that I just can't see him. There's a Monk of Zamorak right there. Well, shit. I guess I have to kill him with magic. I'll bring a telegrab rune just in case he drops anything interesting. All right, let's see what drop we get here. Just bones. I'm not going to bother with that. All right, well, I can mark him dead. I'll try to go ahead and finish up Shield of Arov here. Oh, cool. The chunk picker updated to correctly flag accessible areas. So there's actually a whole bunch of quests that I can do now. By a whole bunch of quests, I mean like 2, but that's still cool. So I can actually do Demon Slayer and Romeo and Juliet. And I think previously I wasn't sure that those were possible. So yeah, we're going to do Demon Slayer, Romeo and Juliet, and Shield of Arov on this cycle. I'll go ahead and add them here. So I previously wasn't able to climb these stairs because it put me in West Varrock, but I have West Varrock unlocked now. Oh shit! XP random, first time in a while. I think I gotta use this on agility, but man, it's painful to use it when I'm at oh man, I don't know. No, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Agility. If I get one more of those, then we'll hit level 2 agility, which would be outstanding. I'm standing here trying to get Shield of Arop to work. That's why I'm just standing around. Okay, thank you, Crazy Hobo X, for the certificate half. Now we can finish this up. 600 GP is actually a pretty good reward. All right, 1 quest point, 600 coins. Beautiful. Let's work on the other ones now. Feels really cool to do quests in this because you have to have an exact number of chunks unlocked and access to specific items. Like I've got the Cadaver berries because of the chunk down there. So I think this is required 4 chunks for me to be able to do. All right, Romeo and Juliet done, or a nice 5 quest points. We currently have 14 quest points, which is not enough to do anything interesting. Technically 16 we can do below Ice Mountain if we roll that chunk a while from now, but the big number we want is 32 quest points because that gets us into the Champions Guild and unlocks a lot of cool stuff. I am going to do Demon Slayer now. Alrighty, finishing up Demon Slayer here. Should have a high enough combat that I don't need any food for it. 27 is not too bad. Yeah, absolutely wrecking him. Forgot how few hit points he had. Alright, Demon Slayer complete. 17 quest points. It's going to be a while before we get to 32, but we're slowly working our way there. Let me go ahead and mark all of these quest tasks complete. I don't know if there are actually 4 imps in Varrock Palace. I think there are based on the wiki, but they must have a really large leash radius. I'll try to track those down, but I'll also get the grizzly bear. I need to get that by going through the sewers. I may as well start working on killing stuff in the sewers. All right, we're in the Varrock sewers here. I have a lot of things to kill down here. So I brought some potatoes with me. I'm probably going to need a chunk of those here. I think I can get to everything down here. I can't get to the Edgeville dungeon. I don't have a high enough agility to squeeze through the tube. But I can do everything else that's down here right now. Just hit Strength 50. That is an exciting level threshold. Got my first ever rare drop table drop, I think. Got an emerald from a skeleton. It's cool to have more access to enemies that can roll the rare drop table. Yeah, it looks like that's a 1 in 520, or I guess 1 in 1024 since I don't have a Ring of Wealth. Okay, so interesting question. Do ghosts count as critters? I think they do because they don't drop anything. They have 25 hit points. I think the reason I ruled that scorpions weren't critters is because they do have an ensouled head drop. How many ghosts are there here? I guess I can just kill there's only 3 of them right now, so I'm probably just going to kill them for now, but I should probably rule on that in case there's other creatures like this in the future. I don't want to have an excessively granular definition of creature, right? Like, it has to have less than 5 hit points, and it has to not drop anything other than clue scrolls, blah, 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 blah. I think just saying it has to not drop anything is good enough. Son of a bitch, I came up here to kill this grizzly bear and forgot that the tree is in here. So I'm gonna have to go grab an axe and come all the way back. It's fine. These red spider egg spawns are actually pretty important. I'm probably gonna pick them up every cycle. Gonna kill a lot of these deadly red spiders, which are, ooh. I don't think I realized these guys were like level 34. I expected the moss giants to be a little bit troublesome. Oh, and this area is multi-combat? Oh boy, that's not great. I can try to flinch here, I guess. It's a little hard to flinch when you've got a million of these fuckers. Oof. I'm gonna have to come up with a solution for this. Well, I think my solution is don't kill them because they're critters. I thought they dropped their eggs, but maybe those are only the ones in Cont'd. These guys only drop clue scrolls, so I don't think that I need to kill them. Let's just make that the rule. If an enemy drops nothing, even an ensouled head, it is a critter and doesn't need to be killed. If it even just drops bones, we do have to kill it. But if it has nothing but clue scrolls on its drop table, it's not necessary. So I'll go ahead and recategorize these as critters. I will go ahead and pick stuff up in here. And I'm going to kill the moss giants, but I'm going to have to come back with the food. I guess I'll grab my axe while I'm doing that so I can cut that one dying tree. I'm going to try doing this with melee. This might end up making more sense with magic, though, if I'm able to find a way to safe spot all of them. Big struggle with this account is that normal accounts, if you're farming a specific enemy, you'll need to find one area to successfully safe spot or flinch them, because you can just kill the same 1, 2, or maybe 3 enemies that respawn. Because I have to kill everything, I would have to find a safe spot or flinching spot for each individual enemy, which, as we found out, fortunately works out for giant frogs, but isn't necessarily going to work out for every enemy in the game. But I'll hit him up and see if I can manipulate it.
Hey, it's Future Marstead here with another tedious Marstead ramble. I want to talk a little bit more on this topic that I just brought up. I was discussing it in reference to the moss giants, that a normal account only needs to find 1 or 2 moss giant spawns to farm repeatedly, but that this account needs to be able to kill all of the moss giants, even the ones that are annoying to get to. Right, so if you take a look at the Google Doc in the description that has all of the rules for Bonfire Man, the little bits of minutia that I've picked up here and there and adjustments that I've had to make, one of the things it talks about is fungibility. So fungibility is just about whether 2 of the same entity in the game are 2 copies of the same thing, or if they are different in some way, if they're strictly unique. So for example, any 2 regular trees in the game are fungible. They both produce the same log. Even if they have different graphics, they're exactly the same functionally between each other, but a regular tree and an oak are different from each other. They produce different resources and they behave differently. Another good example is that the majority of goblins, level 2 goblins, particularly the ones outside Lumbridge, are fungible with each other. They all have the exact same drop tables and the same stats, but a level 2 goblin and a level 5 goblin found elsewhere, say one in the West Lumbridge Swamp, are not fungible. They have different drop tables. So what does this have to do with Bonfire Man? Well, we have to look at the mechanics of Bonfire Man versus the flavor of Bonfire Man. The mechanics of Bonfire Man are that when I unlock a new chunk, I basically add to my list of tasks all of the things that are in that zone. So if there's 50 goblins in a new zone, I now add to my list for the cycle that I have to kill 50 goblins before I can roll a new chunk. As far as the game mechanics are concerned, it doesn't matter if I kill the same goblin 50 times or if I kill each individual goblin 1 time each for a total of 50 kills. I get the same loot, the same XP. Mechanically, they're identical. Now, killing the same handful of goblins until I get 50 total kills is obviously easier than killing 50 individual goblins and having to walk everywhere, use a lot of run energy. But still, at the end of the day, it produces the same results regardless of which one I do. So from a mechanics point of view, who cares? Doesn't matter. From a flavor point of view, it kind of matters because the point of this playthrough is do everything, right? Interact with every asset, including assets that are annoying to access or difficult to access. So an extremely permissive form of Bonfire Man, your non-extreme Bonfire Man, for example, would be more focused on the total list of tasks across all of your completed chunks for a cycle. So if you have a combination of 4 or 5 different mines that between them have something like 30 iron nodes between all of them, it doesn't matter that you hit each individual iron node as long as you mine 30 iron total for that cycle. Now, an extremely restrictive form of Bonfire Man, the extreme version, would be the opposite. You are never, ever allowed to utilize fungibility in any way. It's each individual asset, no matter what, period. Now, the problem with doing things the very extreme way, where fungibility is never allowed to be used, is that you have no way to correct for mistakes, right? If you accidentally click the same goblin twice, if you kill a goblin and then kill it again when it spawns, it's game over. You've ruined the account. You can't recover your integrity in any way. If you use fungibility, though, you can say, well, I accidentally killed the same goblin twice. I'm just going to mark another goblin that I haven't clicked yet, pretend like that was the one I attacked, so that I still end on the correct total number of goblins killed for this chunk. So I've already established repeatedly in this playthrough that this is not an extreme one chunk man account, that I am not trying to bleed myself to death on being perfect with everything, that I am going to make mistakes occasionally. I'm going to have to recalibrate the rules as we play, lest I spend 100 hours theory crafting and not actually playing the game. And fortunately, compared to a lot of other restricted account formats and game modes, I think that Bonfire Man is resilient to mistakes. Like, the average mistake that I make is pretty easy to fix over multiple cycles over time. If I fail to do content, I miss out on the rewards from that content. If I accidentally do content early, I can simply exclude that from future cycles until I make up for the deficit. I think it's difficult to make a truly apocalyptic mistake in this format, whether I'm doing extreme Bonfire Man, which I'm not, or extremely permissive Bonfire Man, which I'm also not. So what's the point of this ramble? What am I getting at? What I'm getting at is that my way of handling fungibility is going to be somewhere in the middle between extremely permissive and extremely restrictive. I'm probably going to lean towards restrictive as much as possible. Times where I'm going to go full restrictive are when I roll a new chunk for the first time. I'm absolutely going to do my absolute best to hit every single asset exactly once, not accounting for fungibility whatsoever. I will also go full restrictive whenever we're talking about 100% completing a chunk. If we're going to be 100% completing a chunk so that it's a candidate for skipping or for node depletion in future cycles, we have to do absolutely everything, and we have to do it entity by entity, none of this fungibility crap. So those are the two scenarios where I will always be 100% strict when it comes to fungibility, i.e. not using it at all. Now, this might be mild spoilers for upcoming unlockable chunks, but there are certain chunks where fungibility just doesn't play with the way janky aggro in RuneScape works. Imagine that you're in a room full of enemies that all aggro on you, and you're trying to specifically kill each one of those enemies exactly once. And imagine that each time an enemy dies, you are instantly aggroed by another enemy, probably an enemy you've already killed. There's no clean way to manage this at all. Once you've been aggroed, if you're in a single combat area, you can't change to another enemy without doing something janky like leaving the room or stepping under the enemy or trying to do something else to drop aggro, and it can take 10 or 15 minutes just to start targeting the correct enemy. This is not an extreme one chunk account, so in situations like this, I'm just going to use fungibility. Suppose I'm in a room full of skeletons. We'll just say skeletons. That's not necessarily what it is. Say we're in a room full of skeletons that are all aggroing me, and it's single combat, and there's 10 skeletons in the room. I'm just going to kill 10 skeletons. Whichever 10 aggro on me, I'll mark them each individually to show that I got them all, but I will use fungibility in that situation. Generally, I'm going to try to hew as strict as possible because I think it's more in the spirit and flavor of the account, but I feel like there are heavy diminishing returns from being completely strict all of the time. As I've said, I think it's most important to be 100% strict when the chunk is new and when we're completing it. But once you've chopped every oak tree in Lumbridge a dozen times, I think you kind of get it. And I think the audience kind of gets it, right? And from the audience's perspective, if there's 7 oak trees in the Lumbridge Castle chunk, and you see that I have 7 oak logs in my inventory, you don't really know if I chopped the same oak tree for 7 logs or if I literally went to 7 different trees. I think a big chunk of the fun of RuneScape is trying to optimize things and do things in the most efficient order possible so that you get the most value out of your hour of time. Bonfire Man has that mechanic. Bonfire Man is effectively a giant traveling salesman problem. Once you have tons of chunks available, the question is, how do you visit all of these locations in an order that makes sense and is efficient and doesn't have you running to the bank constantly? So since I'm not going pure 100% strict on the fungibility front, I am going to allow myself to use it occasionally when it makes sense. In situations like I'm in a room full of 10 skeletons that are all aggroing me, I'm just going to kill 10 skeletons, right? I just want to set expectations around this now, because if you ever find me in game and you notice me chopping the same oak tree for a couple ticks, or killing the same 3 goblins a few times, I want to see wanted posters all around Lumbridge saying that I'm a fraud and this account has no integrity and it's nonsense. Like, I'm allowed to use fungibility. I should just try to use my best judgment and not abuse it, because the spirit of the account, the spirit of the playthrough is to interact with everything once, and we do at least do that once when it rolls as a new chunk, and probably again when we complete it. Fungibility or no, this account is already very challenging to play. It is basically 100% attentive all the time. There is very little content in the game that is even a brief respite of AFK-ness where I can edit a video or record this. I'm logged out of the game right now because I don't have anything AFK that I can do. I would consider this comparably threatening to the integrity of Bonfire Man as, say, Swampletics or Verf requesting help from other people with finding Lucky Implings, or Limpwort, our boy, the premier extreme one-chunk Iron Man, using a second account to be able to make his Calphite Queen grind slightly more tolerable. I think every great extreme or not region-locked Snowflake Iron account has some kind of questionable at the margins allowance like this that makes something that's really terrible slightly less painful, and I think that this is in that category. So no, if you're settled and you're paying people to find you Lucky Implings and it takes you months to get the thing that you want, that's still a huge pain in the ass, and I still respect Settled for his grind. If you're Limpwort and you're using 2 accounts to make killing the Calphite Queen thousands of times more tolerable, you still did that for 6 months. I don't care. Just you do you. If it gets me the content faster, that's what I want. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here with this fungibility thing. That was a 10-minute ramble. Thanks for coming to my rant. I don't even know if that's going to be relevant in this playthrough for several episodes to come, but I think it's better to talk about it now than talk about it later. Thanks for watching. We'll get back to the playthrough here.
I need to bring the axe anyway, because there's a handful of dead trees in the sewer proper that I forgot about. But let's go ahead and just chop this thing so I don't have to come back here. Done. Okay, I'm over here. I picked up the egg spawns. and a Earth Rune spawn back there. I'm fighting the boss giants now. I think I can probably safe spot all of them. There's probably a corner I can stand in where I can hit all of them. I'm not sure that there's actually 10. Oh, maybe there are 10 I can access, so I think I can get in that corner. All right, well, this might take a while and a few trips. Yeah, I could totally safe spot them from here. It didn't take too much damage on the first one I killed, but I would have to burn a lot of food to melee them, so I might try this again later. These guys hit pretty hard. This might be the thing I have to start ending the cycle on, because it's probably the most difficult thing I can do at the moment. I can hit for 6s and 7s. The food's not helping me too much there. Last one I killed dropped the magic staff, the first one coal, which is also kind of interesting. I'll try to kill the 4 in this corner though, and I'll likely come back with magic for the remaining 6 up there. Whoa, that is an upgrade! A black square shield. I gotta look at these guys. Drop table. It was like, we might get some seeds or something, I don't know. The 1 in 25s, that's pretty common. I guess the steel kite shield would be even better at a 1 in 128. Gotta run so I don't die here getting aggroed by all these guys. I got a cosmic rune drop from that last one I killed. Every cosmic rune drop is insanely precious, as is every law rune drop, so I will celebrate that for sure. Let me look through this. Okay, so they also drop 3 law runes, which would be nice. Lots of herbs. Some of these seeds might matter? Question mark. Guess they drop some hop seeds and bush seeds, so that could make a difference. Steel bar would be huge, I think. I think I basically picked up all the item spawns down here now. I still have 6 more moss giants to kill, but I'm going to try to safe spot them with magic, which is going to require me to buy some more runes. So I'm going to use that money I just got from fletching to do that. So while I'm walking back here, an update on how long this chunk has taken me. 2.5 hours. Now, a lot of that is doing quests, like running to the Wizard's Tower for Demon Slayer and the like, so it should be faster on future cycles when I don't have to do those things anymore, but I'm not even done with chopping the trees. There's a lot of trees to chop up topside. Remember, previously it was taking me 8.5 hours to do the entire cycle, so yeah, this is a pretty big increase. Okay, I'm at Aubrey here, buying runes. I want to try to spend only about 4,000, because that's what I got from my logs here, fletching them. Currently bought 22 Mind Rune packs and 13 Air Rune packs, so I'm almost out of Mind Rune packs. Alright, so only enough money from that to buy 6 of each, which isn't terrible, but it's not great either compared to how much magic I was able to train last cycle. Yeah, so I really have to make sure I save all of my oak logs going forward so we can extract as much money from that as possible. That's going to be like my my income from passing Go at the start of the Monopoly board. It's going to be however many oak trees I was able to chop and turn into oak longbows. My income should get a little bit better once I'm able to do willow longbows, but there's not very many willow trees in comparison to oak trees, so probably still the majority of it's going to come from oaks from this point forward. I probably should have been saving them this whole time, but nobody's perfect. Heading down to kill these last 6 moss giants. And then after that, I just have to chop trees. And I guess I'll go ahead and do it. It would be nice to just be completely done with the brand new chunk, the Varrock Palace and the sewers. Oh my god, I want to die. I came all the way here with my mage gear and forgot there was a web I have to slash. I'll be back. I'm a genius. I hopped to a free-to-play world where I assumed it would already be cut, and it was. So I just need to home teleport out of here once I'm done, I guess. For some reason, my brain always registered this moss giant room as being part of the Edgeville dungeon. I guess because I've always had enough agility to cross through that pipe. That's cool. So I can technically get all of the moss giants. Yeah, so this is an example of where safe spotting starts to get tricky. Like, I could just farm these 3 moss giants over and over ad nauseum. Sadly, I forgot my axe again. Miscounted the dead trees, I think, or maybe it's that the chunk picker includes these dead trees in the Edgeville dungeon, because there's 2 more trees over here, so I'm gonna have to make a long trek back to be able to get those. But I gotta hop out of here so I'm not getting in the way of this dude's giants. Okay, I was able to sneak my way over into this corner here. That should be enough to finish off the rest of them. Oh my god, steel kite shield. I think that's the upgrade over the black square shield. It must be because it's rare. 1 in 128. Good shit. 300 coins, that is a drop for me. One of those drops that would be completely inconsequential otherwise, but no, that's it's like 10% of my daily income from oak logs. Okie dokie, that's all 10 moss giants killed. Mark those done. We are done with the sewers for this cycle anyway. Only thing I have left to do in the newest chunk is to chop some trees. I guess let me fix the dead tree count and add these two to the Varrock sewers. I have it listed as 3, it should be 5. I'll come back around and do those, and then I'll do the ones topside and report back. And then we gotta go back through all the old chunks. Too bad this wooden shield spawn up here is useless. It's kind of neat, just sitting out here. Okie dokie, just finished chopping the last tree. Decided I want to pick up this pie dish. I think I did in fact find all 4 of the imps that spawn here. They should all be marked. Yeah. So I think we are officially done for now. I can't steal from the guards, I can't steal from the warrior women, I can't chop the yew trees, and I can't do rat catchers. I don't want to do any of the critters in the sewers. So we'll mark these done, and the rest of this episode is going to be chunks we've already done. I'll pop in with level up notifications, drops, that kind of a thing. I don't know that too much is going to change today. I think we are going to hit 20 thieving, which is significant, because I'll be able to pickpocket more things in the ham hideout. But other than that, I think we're all downhill now. Oh, and I should show you the live split timer. That took almost 3 hours to do one chunk. I'll time it again next cycle, next episode, just to see how much faster it goes when I'm not having to do quests, and I kind of have a better handle on what all I need to be bringing to different areas, like chopping those trees down in the sewers. But yeah, it's pretty brutal, pretty brutal. All right, so I'm actually going to do all of my mining at once. I don't know when we're actually going to be able to do any kind of rune crafting, and even if I only have, I don't know, 5 cycles, 6 cycles, 10 cycles, 20 cycles worth of rune essence banked up for it, it's not really going to be that much runecraft XP, but it's some mining XP, so I'll take it. I got my last inventory of rune essence. I'm about to go back and mine all of my mining options, which aren't that many, I guess. There's Varrock East, Varrock West, the Alcarid Mine, Lumbered Swamp Mine. That's 25 mining right there. New information available from the mining tutor. I don't think anything actually matters until I hit mining 30. 26 mining. I think it makes sense whenever I come to Alcarid to just do all of Alcarid at once, because it's all really close to each other. It's pretty easy to just knock it all out. So while I'm here, I went ahead and did the North Alcarid and the Alcarid Mine. I'm going to get my 2 fish here. 15 fishing. You can do anchovies now with the small fishing net, which is slightly more XP per node if I get them. This is embarrassing, and you may have noticed this before, but I just realized that I can pickpocket these Alcarid warriors at level 25. I guess they're treated separately as other guards. Anyway, we're nowhere near level 25 thieving. We're not going to get it for probably a couple more cycles, even with the extra pickpockets in the ham storeroom. But I think thieving is going to get a little bit more tolerable soon, I hope. Holy crap, I did not realize that anchovies give 40 fishing XP instead of 10. So yeah, it'll be really nice to be able to fish these nodes until they deplete. I don't think I'm going to get a chunk where I can fish to depletion for a while. Well, I got 40 XP from the shrimp and 40 XP from the one anchovy. Man, it's kind of exciting to get an anchovies pull now. It's significantly more XP. I think that means I'm done with fishing for this round, barring any Evil Bob events. So yeah, 150 fishing XP. It's not too bad. 80 of that is from anchovies. Alrighty, I just finished up chopping all of the trees in Draenor and the ham hideout, and I gotta sign off for the night. I guess it doesn't affect you, but all the enemies are going to be reset tomorrow because of the patch. So I kind of wanted to summarize XP gains before this all gets reset. 8272 woodcutting, 7824 strength, 4300 fletching, 3119 hit points. Getting a good amount of daily mining XP now. That's quite nice. We still have quite a bit left to do. This will all get wiped out for tomorrow, though, and I'll try to keep the loot and the loot tracker here. I'll see you then. Bye. Hey folks, it's a new day for me. The Giants Foundry Pass just dropped, which is actually kind of exciting because I think I can do the Giant's Foundry. If we roll this chunk, which was previously a very boring chunk. I have to look into it. It just dropped, so I don't know if it takes you to other chunks or something. And I think the quest to unlock it only requires 15 smithing, which we should be able to get, maybe even now with the ore that we have in the bank. But anyway, I need to go around and finish up our old chunks still, so I'm going to start getting to work on that. This is a new one. I just killed the goblin out here because it's out of the way. I figured I'd take care of it, and it dropped grapes, which I don't think I've ever seen a goblin drop grapes before. I can actually confirm this, can't I? Let's look at goblin. Yeah, first ever out of 1159 kills. It might just be this level 5 goblin over here, and not the goblins near Lumbridge. That's all I can think. Oh hey, it's my first ever crash star. That thing looks too big for me to be able to interact with. I'm only mining level 26, but I guess I'll go prospect it real quick. Mining level 80, well, a little early to find that. So I think my ruling on those is if they spawn in a chunk, that chunk needs to be completed in order for me to be able to mine them to completion. Otherwise, if I see one, I can tap it once for a bit of stardust, but that's it. Okay, here comes our rare woodcutting level. 55 woodcutting. The next one we care about is 57, because that'll let me roll a wilderness chunk, Varrock's Enclave specifically, and then 60 for use. All right, coming up on 38 fletching, which isn't itself an exciting level, but levels are getting really slow right now. 40 is our target for willow longbows. Over here cleaning up the trees in West Varrock, I'm going to pop quickly over to the Chef's Guild just to pick up the spawns in there. Then we're going to be back to chopping. I think I'm actually almost done with all of the trees in my chunks. I kind of accidentally just ended up doing nothing but trees for a while there. Working on the Dark Wizards now and got another Cosmic Rune drop. Every single one is precious. And a 4 Nature Rune drop. Really, really good from Dark Wizards today outside Varrock. Alright, I'm heading to the Lumbridge Swamp Cave. I'm nowhere near done with all of my tasks here. I've got a lot of chunks still to finish, but I want to make sure that I use as many of these runes as possible on those 3 level 99 giant frogs. So we'll start with them and then work our way backwards out of the cave. And I've decided not to bother with the wizard hat. It's only +2 magic accuracy, and this thing is just too cool looking. I'm just gonna wear it for as much of the playthrough as I can get away with. Alright, we're here. Let's go. Let's go. Can I really not hit him from over here? Just to be like a tile closer. I guess I can aggro him and then jump back over this thing. It's an excuse to use this shortcut more, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's the way I'm able to pull him to this tile. Oh no, I have to jump over this stepping stone 2 extra times. 37 magic, which raises an interesting question. Because I unlocked the teleport to Falador, does that mean that the Falador chunk is now available? I have to think about it more. I've been watching Limpwort, and I noticed that Limpwort's Extreme 1 chunk rules say that everything has to be accessible by land unless if there's absolutely no way to get there by land. Not everyone who does a chunk account does it that way. Like, he didn't allow himself the canoe, for example, or the ferry to get to the ruins of Unka. I don't think that's a necessary rule, and in fact, I think the game becomes more interesting the more chunks further from Lumbridge I'm able to roll. Because, like, even if I go to Falador and I can only unlock the chunk from the Falador teleport, I still have to roll all of the adjacent chunks to Falador, and there's such a small chance of that happening because there are so many adjacent chunks to me right now. This is the first time it's mattered. Like, I already had access to Varrock and Lumbridge by the time I unlocked those teleports, so this is the first teleport that might change things. I'll think on it more and try to have a ruling by the end of the episode. Magic 38. Next level I care about is 40 for teleport to house. Okay, I think I have my ruling on the Falador teleport. So My argument has been that I can unlock new tiles via like boat transfer, teleports, that kind of a thing, provided that I have infinite access to them, that I can always go there and come back an unlimited number of times, which is the reason Count Check doesn't count. He can only send you to the Stronghold of Security one time, and you can't go back there again after you get sent there once. So I think by the same logic, teleport should be excluded unless I have an arbitrarily large stash of law runes, which I don't know is ever going to happen in this playthrough. Maybe if we get to a vendor that sells them. Because the problem would be I only have like, I actually probably can tell you how many law runes I have. 6? I have 6 law runes in the bank. And so I can only actually go to Falador 6 times, and then in future cycles I'd have to skip it. And that's kind of contrary to the point of the game mode. Like, I unlock a chunk when I'm able to routinely go there. So I would say no, I can't use the Falador teleport. I might revisit that rule if law runes become trivial for me to obtain, or I have some other way to access unlimited teleports. But so long as the teleports are limited, I can't use that to unlock that chunk. All right, I'm still doing chunk cleanup here, heading over to Wizard's Tower to kill the Lesser Demon. Probably be the end of my rune usage for this run. I think I like the idea of using my runes entirely in the Lumbered Swamp Cave and on the Lesser Demon, because I still get a really good chunk of magic XP from doing it that way. It's going to be in excess of 5,000. And I'm bringing a Law rune just in case it drops anything interesting like that Rune Medhelm. Let's see if we get a good drop from this Lesser Demon. This is probably one of the more hype enemies that we have available. Steel Full Helm might actually, I think that's an upgrade. I certainly don't have one right now. Use my first ever Law rune. Yeah, I have to check. I think that that's better than the Iron Man helmet, like ever so slightly better. The Rune Medhelm is obviously the big exciting drop, but that's still pretty cool. It's also needed for a clue step, so even if I don't end up using it, because why would I wear something other than the frog helmet? Even if I don't end up using it, I can use it for clues, which is good. Just got another water talisman. I think that's my second one. Let me double check. Yeah, it's my second one. Okay. So I can definitely use that to make a water tiara once I can make a tiara, which I have a ways to go on unsmithing before that's going to be possible. Get me some runecraft XP. Oh my goodness, another exam random. Good. This will get us an agility level. Although I'm tempted to hold on to the book until next cycle. So I'm really close to getting an agility level from the stepping stones. But I'm only getting 7 XP per cycle max. So no, I'm going to have to just go ahead and use it. We'll hit agility level 2, that's fine. Very lucky in the sense that I've only ever gotten books of knowledge so far. I haven't gotten a regular genie. I think this book is worth slightly more XP. Okay, here we go. First ever agility level. Get hype. Agility level 2. Man, I missed the sound of that fanfare. Which gets us absolutely nothing, although it does make future XP randoms worth more, which is good. Yeah, I'm comparing the Steel Full Helm to the Iron Man helmet, and it is strictly better. So yes, that is another upgrade. Very cool. I will probably be wearing the frog mask as much as possible, but if I get into some content where it really matters that I have slightly more defense, I will wear it. Still killing these zombies and skeletons in the drainer sewers just because rare drop table. You never know what you're going to get. I'm probably going to die to this one, though. I forgot to bring some food downstairs with me. Coming up on hit points 46, and very soon to strength 51. Right, there's 51 strength, which is an increased max hit. We now have a max hit of 9 with the adamant sword on aggressive. So I'm going to try to get it 3 more levels up to 54, I think. And then I'll switch to attack, because my attack is falling pretty far behind here. I might do some defense as well. Maybe we'll go with like strength -7 as attack, -14 as defense. Oh hey, this is kind of fun. I've finally ranked on the high scores for woodcutting. I'm rank 1,988,000 at 55 woodcutting, so by the time I get to editing this video, I won't have a screenshot of the high scores anymore, but I've only ranked for woodcutting, fletching, and farming at the moment, despite having all these total levels. Because I'm effectively a free-to-play account in almost every possible way, with a couple exceptions. I missed that there's a place to pick up tools over here. I don't really need either of them, but it'd be nice to have some extra spades, you know, if I end up losing a couple. I think sometimes they show up in quests. All right, come on, casket. Oh, thank God. Okay, this is our 5th ever clue, I think. Not a lot of interesting stuff from beginner clues. Mostly garbage. Is it going to be garbage? Yeah, it's garbage. 35 water runes is garbage now that I have access to Aubrey. All right, 33 prayer, which is not a significant level. The next level I think we care about is 34 for incredible reflexes, which I might actually use and flick. Then, of course, looking forward to the protection prayers. Coming up on level 20 pickpocketing, which is in fact an exciting level. Finally. You can now pickpocket male ham followers. Technically, I guess we can steal from silk stalls, which I don't think includes the one in Alcarid, and Zogar coffins. But the male ham followers is the big one. Pretty significantly increases the amount of XP we can get per cycle now. I got a mysterious old man, but I'm pretty sure it's the mime event. God, man, I have never gotten the maze random in coming up on 100 hours. Golly. I now have all 4 mime event emotes. I do also have the mime mask, which is a potential alternate helmet, because I think that that's kind of consistent with a lot of the crazy headgear you get in the Souls games. You either get ridiculous frog helmets or you get ridiculous looking masks. So maybe we'll change those up every now and then. Updating on my progress here. Here's the live split timer. We're into 8 hours and I still have to finish killing everything in the cow chunk and the ham hideout chunk. Everything else is done though. We're going to finish up, I think, with the ham underground. We'll pick everything's pocket to wrap out the episode. Finally remembering to note these potatoes at the tool leprechaun instead of marching them all the way back. I just edited that episode where I unlocked potatoes for the first time. So embarrassing. All right, I'm on to my very last task for the episode, and that is going into the ham hideout, killing the 22 guards, and now pickpocketing 26 NPCs, which is huge. Well, I just pickpocketed an easy clue that I can do because it's in Varrock Castle, but I don't have a black axe. I think I can only get a black axe from clue scrolls. Let me double check it real quick. It's a 1 in 805 from beginner clues, a 1 in 36 from easy clues, and I guess it's a drop from a handful of enemies, none of which I have access to. So I'm going to have to drop this, unfortunately. All right, I finished killing all the guards. I got to start doing the pickpocketing now. I've actually gotten thrown in jail twice now. I pickpocketed all the female ham members, but male ham members I only got 1 pickpocket off before getting thrown in jail. So hopefully I can be successful here. I keep getting tossed out or locked up. I'm going to run out of health from getting hit back by them. I forgot how much damage they do. Probably need to start bringing food when I go to do this. Just hit 21 thieving. 4 to go. Okay, I just got my last pickpocket here. 26. That means we are done. I can't do the ham guards or the small chest because I haven't done Death to the Dorgashin. Looks like we're done with everything. I'm going to go head back to the bank and we'll sum up. Okay, it's summary time. Click the time code if you want to skip this. We've been playing for 103 hours. I said coming up at 100, but we're actually over 100 hours now, which I think contextualizes how much grinding is in this game mode. I know I've allowed myself a lot of leeway to skip things if I choose to, but this isn't a very high level in RuneScape from playing the game for 103 hours. As you can see from the live split timer, I'll go ahead and pause it here since we're done summarizing. It took about 9 hours to do all of these chunks, which is about 34 more minutes than the previous chunk. So I think I just spent a lot of time fletching and selling things last time. Probably made up for the difference. I think also maybe going through the whole game world and chopping all the trees once. Anyway, going through the game world and doing all the wood cutting at the same time and doing all the mining at the same time, I think is actually more efficient than going chunk by chunk, even though chunk by chunk is easier for me to keep track of in my brain. So I might start doing that going forward. It's a little bit more brainless for me to just focus on wood cutting all at once rather than switching up tasks all the time. I think that resulted in some time savings. The XP you see here on the right isn't completely accurate because, like I mentioned, I had to sign off in between an update, so a good chunk of the XP got lost here, but you can refer to that earlier amount to see the actual difference. Lumbridge, can't chop a yew, can't fish for trout. I went ahead and added recipe for disaster because it will block us even when we get to do those two things. We can't do these things in the Lumbridge cellar. Can't chop use. Can't go into the Ham Cult basement. Can't mine these things or do anything in the water altar yet. I did kill this goblin. I added that as a task because my goblin count keeps coming out to 80. Yeah, and I was previously expecting 79. And I realized the problem is that there's an extra goblin that spawns on the chunk boundary with Lumbered Swamp West that I had never included a task for. I've always killed it. It's a level 5 goblin rather than a lower level goblin. But I think it tends to wander over here, so I was including it in that count and assuming I was going over because of some wandering from other adjacent chunks. Lumbered Swamp Cave, I did everything I could do, including killing the 3 giant frogs. I can't get to the other cow pen in Groat's farm yet. Can't get into the fire altar. Gathering stuff is optional. I can't chop the yew or pickpocket the master farmer. Can't do Puro Puro. Nothing to do in the duel arena. Most of the Champions Guild is on the other side of the river. Can't go in the Sourhog Cave. Can't do these stealing tasks or the Wise Old Man task. I went ahead and did the Drainer Sewers, even though I didn't have to. Can't mine this stuff yet. Can't kill these rats yet. I went ahead and added the quest What Lies Below because technically it's in that chunk, and even when I get to these giant rats, I'm not going to be able to progress, clear out the East Varrock mine chunk until I do that quest. Can't do Bon Voyage or cleaning fines for some time. Can't do these agility shortcuts. I'm not doing the Mistle and Mystery chunk. I can't steal from the Alcreed Warriors. I added that, or do the agility course. I did the Wizard's Tower. I'm skipping the trees, but it's only like 2 trees. Again, I mined the Rune Essence. I tapped them out, but I skipped the dead trees. Can't steal from guards yet or do the Romilly task. Varrock Palace, this is our newest chunk. I can't steal from the guards or the warrior women or chop the yews. And Varrock Sewers, I did everything. I should add a boss here. Yeah, technically Bryophyta's on this list. I just can't fight her until I get a Mossy Key. But fighting her would be great because she drops a bunch of stuff that's best in slot for me. So really hopeful that when we get those 10 Moss Giant kills each episode, that we're going to unlock some stuff. Let me get rid of this life split timer. Okay, let's look at Loot Tracker. Just going to scroll through this slowly if you wanted to review it. These counts largely look correct. It looks like I've occasionally been accidentally killing an extra cow calf or an extra cow. So I'm going to do my totals, and I might kill slightly fewer cows to kind of level those out, because the almost never see cows wandering out of that pen that I can't get into. I should be able to have a level count of cows and cow calves killed. Lots of rune drops this cycle. Lots of nature runes, a good chunk of cosmic runes. So that's some pretty exciting stuff. Supply usage, this is all time. I haven't been resetting this from cycle to cycle. Probably should start doing that. So let's just do it whenever I review it. Reset all. Okay. And let's look at our bank. So new stuff to the bank. We picked up the saw. We got the construction guide from buying the house. We got Silverlight from doing Demon Slayer. We got a couple red spider egg spawns from the Varrock Sewers. Magic Staff was a drop from the Moss Giants. Went ahead and got the Frog Mask, which I think I'm going to keep equipped from now on. I'll just hide it from the bank. This will be my new Fashionscape Albinoric helm. Black Square Shield's actually better than the Steel Kite Shield, despite being less rare, which I didn't realize. However, the Steel Kite Shield is needed for a clue step, so it's good to have it. Strawberry Seed came from a Moss Giant. We got this from a random event. Steel Full Helm just dropped from the Lesser Demon, and I picked up an extra rake. I'll just move that over here. So yeah, looking pretty good. I'll fix the organization here real fast. Let's review the full bank totals then. 15 Cosmic Runes is looking pretty great. I'm not happy with my Law Rune stack. I hope that some of the enemies that can drop them start dropping significantly more of those. That would be quite nice. 175 oak logs. I think I'm just going to treat 100 oak logs as my zero balance and turn everything else I pull each cycle into oak longbows, which is about 75 logs right now, which isn't a ton of money, but it's enough to maybe go infinite on rune costs until I'm not able to buy runes from Aubrey anymore. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay, it's time to roll a new chunk. Let's do it. All right, here's the chunk roller. First thing I want to do, now that this chunk includes a quest that I almost qualify for, I'm going to remove the thumbs down and change it to a thumbs up. I don't know the details as to how much of that quest I can do, but I'd be interested to check it out. Anything that's a thumbs up is decent. Anything that's a thumbs down is not great. I've covered these in previous episodes if you want to hear my thoughts on them. I do want to go into anything that's new, though. These skulls are what I really don't want. And I guess the red skull is the worst, the orange skull is the second worst, and the yellow skull is the third worst from my perspective. So I really don't want the Grand Exchange. It's a dead chunk. There's nothing I can do there. There's a bunch of trees I have to chop. It doesn't really help me in any way. It doesn't get me closer to anything new. This would really suck to roll.
Hey, this is Future Marstead here again, real quick, not a ramble. That comment I just made about the Grand Exchange being a really boring chunk and therefore not one that I wanted to roll because it would require me to go back and do all of the old chunks again. That predates my ruling about boring chunks in general. So I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but if we get a truly capital B boring chunk where there is nothing new to do there, all of the enemies are enemies we've killed before, all of the skilling nodes are nodes that we've interacted with before, the rule is that we can visit that chunk, not light a bonfire, refreshing all the content that was around before, and just clear it immediately, and then roll another chunk. Again, this is the way I should have deployed the rule for the duel arena earlier. We ended up going with the kind of cute thing that I couldn't light fires there, but the real reason why we re-rolled immediately after the duel arena was that there was nothing to do that was new in the duel arena. This is also going to apply for other capital B boring chunks. I don't actually deploy this rule about boring chunks until quite a bit later. I assure you that this rule is necessary for the survival of the playthrough long term. It's very similar to what existing Chunkman accounts have. When they roll a chunk that doesn't have anything new for them to do, they roll again. If we don't have that, then this account is going to be impossible to complete because there are many, many, many completely empty chunks in the game, and that's not a big deal for a normal Chunkman account. If I have to do 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 hours of cleanup on prior chunks every time I roll a boring chunk, the playthrough collapses. I'll go ahead and let you get back to the chunk picker here. I'm probably going to chime in about this one more time when we do roll one of these skull boring chunks, but the rule is coming soon.
The orange one, again, it's an empty chunk and it's in the wilderness. I guess it arguably gets me closer to interesting wilderness tasks and things, but just rolling it for now would suck because it would basically be a lost episode. I'd just have to redo everything again. The exam center chunk, I also don't want because it's empty aside from a fucking shitload of trees and a quest that I can't do for a very long time, and it doesn't get me closer to anything that I want. So I don't want any three of those chunks. Like I said, I updated this chunk because now it has this new smithing minigame that would be neat to check out if I'm able to do it. In terms of the chunks I want, it's the same three as before. My number one most wanted chunk, the crown. Second most wanted, silver star, so gold, silver, and bronze. I would love to get Barbarian Village, more fishing opportunities once we get a fly fishing rod. Primarily want access to the Stronghold of Security, though. Even though it's probably going to take hours to kill everything down there, there's a ton of awesome drops down there, and it could really change things up a lot for this account if we roll this guy. Second most wanted, Ruins of Unka. It doesn't get us to Temporos right away. We'd have to roll the Sea Spirit dock to do that, but the chunk itself is really interesting and includes things like a fly fishing rod and some more mining nodes, which would be great. And then third most wanted is Edgeville, partially for the Edgeville dungeon. We'll actually be able to do the other half of that. There's a bunch of enemies down there that are pretty interesting, but also just for all of the other stuff that's in that chunk, as well as the connection point to the Isle of Souls, which has a ton of interesting content in it that nobody cares about, but I would very much care about if we manage to roll it. So without further ado, let's roll it here. Let's see what happens. Pick chunk. Oof, that's one of my skull chunks. And we're officially in the wilderness now. There are 7 giant rats there, a body rune, 61 dead trees, kill me, and it's in the wilderness. Well, that's a bummer. It's not that big of a deal. It just means that next episode, I might do 2 chunk rolls. I might go ahead and just redo all the chunks we've already done and then roll another one. I guess the other ditches are also terrible. Oh, yeah. Anything along this line is awful. I guess this one's not too bad because there's, like, at least a mine there. Chaos Temple might be neat.
Hey, it's me again. I wasn't trying to spoil that we were about to get a boring roll, but this boring roll, under my new rule, I would have just immediately gone there, killed the rats there, cut the trees, and then rolled another chunk. I did not do that. The next episode, you are going to get 2 chunks. You're going to get to see this really boring one, me doing everything again, and then whatever chunk I roll after that. But mercifully, I come up with the rule after this one. Okay, next time we get one of these, we should just go ahead and go in there without lighting the bonfire, knock it out real quick at the end of the same episode, and then just roll another one right away. Thanks again for watching, folks, and we'll see you in the next episode with 2 chunks this time.